Welcome to another vocabulary lesson. Today we're looking at driving and traffic. I'm not a driver, so if I make any mistakes here, please forgive me. So let's get started. Get stuck in heavy traffic. We use the adjective heavy to describe a lot of traffic. And get stuck in for when you can't move. You can get stuck in a lift. You can get stuck in a lot of places. Anywhere small where you're unable to move. Okay, you skid when the wheels or the tyres, the rubber around the wheels, when the wheels lock, when you step on the brakes, which is the next one, you often skid if you're going at a fast speed. You can skid on a bicycle as well. I often do if I put my brakes on very quickly. So if you're on a bend when you're turning, not when you're turning left, but when the road bears left or bears right. You often hear this word, bear left as well, bear right. It just means start to go in that direction, not a straight turn. But when the road bears left or bears right, there's a bend in the road, and so you may well skid on the bend. Okay, you step on the brakes to slow down, and you step on the accelerator to speed up. If you're speeding up, you may well overtake the car in front. Now, if the road is very narrow and there are only two lanes, I should put that word as well, a lane, how many lanes there are on the motorway. But if there are only two lanes, when you overtake, you will be facing the oncoming traffic, which can be a little bit scary if you are on a bend or at the top of a hill. And if there's not much time to think, and unfortunately you may have a head-on collision, which is obviously very serious, where you have a crash with the car, with one of the with the oncoming traffic, with one of the cars in the oncoming traffic. Okay, a hit and run is when you have an accident. Maybe you hit a car, maybe you knock over a person, maybe you run someone over or knock over a person, but you don't report it. You don't stop and report it to the police. You just drive away, and so it's a very bad thing to do, and you should be punished if you're involved in something like this. Now, you may get a driving ban. You may get a 2-year driving ban. They might decide that it's not so serious, and they might just put points on your license, on your driving license, and when you get a certain number of points, then they give you the driving ban. You might have to pay a fine. This is financial penalty when you have to pay £100 or £150 for speeding, perhaps for exceeding the speed limit. Or maybe you pay a fine for drink driving. Maybe you go to prison, but maybe you pay a fine. To catch someone drink driving, the police make the driver take a breathalyzer. And if the amount of alcohol in his blood exceeds a certain amount, then perhaps he'll be arrested. You also exceed the speed limit. It's the same as break the speed limit. There are two types of car. There's the car with manual transmission, which means a gear stick. Where have I written gear stick? I haven't written gear stick. Okay, I've written change gear. The gear stick is in a manual car. And in an automatic car, you only have I suppose they still called it a gear stick, but it's not different gears like in a manual car. It's the car automatically changes gear. But yeah, I think it still has a stick, so you can put it into reverse gear, which is when you want to go backwards. Reverse means go backwards, so you need to put it into reverse gear if you want to go backwards. Okay, you've got different parts of the car. You've got windscreen wipers, which are on the windscreen is obviously the glass at the front, and the wipers keep it clean if it's raining. You've got wheels, and you can get a flat tyre. You can get a puncture. These two are synonyms, flat tyre and puncture, and it means that the air in your tyre has come out of the tyre. Maybe you've gone over some glass or something like that, and you've got a flat tyre. Okay, the handbrake is the brake in the middle of the car, which you pull up when you want the car to completely stop. Maybe you're parking on a hill, so you must put the handbrake on or it will roll away. The steering wheel is at the front for turning left and right. The engine is the most important part of the car because it pushes the wheels round and round, and you might say that the engine is giving off smoke or maybe giving off a funny smell. And I just wanted to remind you of that phrasal verb, give off, for when something gaseous usually is coming out of a machine. So it's giving off smoke, it's giving off a funny smell. You've probably got a problem. Okay, you also put things in the boot and take things out of the boot being where you keep your luggage, or also where you keep a spare tyre. Perhaps another good word, spare tyre, and remember the word spare parts as well, which is something you might need if you break down, which is a phrasal verb I've forgotten to write up here actually, break down. Please remember we use break down for when a car stops working. You put things in and out, and you put things in and take things out of the boot. By the way, in America it's called trunk, and I think a lot of these British expressions have American equivalents, such as pavement, sidewalk, motorway, freeway, or highway, I'm not sure. So there's a lot of American English which is a little bit different here. So you can change gear, you can also go much faster on the motorway, you can perhaps speed up. You've got the rush hour in the morning and the evening when everybody's going to work and coming back from work, so there's heavy traffic usually. The pavement is where pedestrians walk, and it's another useful word, pedestrians, people who are walking, not going in cars. So it's another important word. You can run out of petrol, and you don't want to when you're in the middle of a journey, but this just means when there's no petrol left. A very useful phrasal verb. We've got lots of phrasal verbs here. You need to fill up with petrol when your petrol tank is empty. When you pull out, it means you go into the road with the faster traffic. So you can pull out into the fast lane, but you can also just pull out when you're parked. You pull out so that you drive out into the traffic. If the police pull you over, then that means that they ask you to slow down and stop. Maybe they want to question you. Maybe they want to give you a breathalyzer. Okay, the police will often flag you down first, which just means, you could even say wave you down. Just means they give you a wave with their stick or with whatever they use to flag you down. Then you should slow down and stop. You may need to get out of your car. So remember, we use get in and get out for cars. But if you're on public transport, then we use on or off for public transport. And even for bikes, you get on a bike and you get off a bike. It's only really car, get in, get out. Pick someone up from a place, drop someone off at a place. So you pick someone up from the airport and drop them off at their friend's house. Okay? Run someone over means go over them in a car. Knock someone over is better for when they're just knocked out of the way, I suppose. Rev up your engine for when you go like this in a car or on a motorbike or whatever. We say rev up the engine. If you cut someone up, this is when you're going in one direction and somebody cuts right across you and makes you put your foot on the brakes. And so it's not a good thing. If somebody cuts you up, you may have an accident. Okay, we say that traffic is building up, which means it's getting bigger. We also say traffic is tailing back 4 kilometers on this road, and it means it goes back. The traffic jam goes back 4 kilometers, so you don't want it to be tailing back for a long way. If you want to say the opposite, that it's getting quieter, that there aren't so many cars on the road, you say traffic is easing off or traffic is dying down. Okay, that's a lot of vocabulary in a small amount of time, so I'm sure there'll be questions. Please put them under the video. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.